to English.
Nice.
Hello, everyone. We're live. I'm so happy to have another workshop here on Mode. Hey, everyone. My name is Fede, or Crypto Fede on Chain, and I'm head of DevRel at Mode. And today I'm with Agustin. Hello, Agus. How are you?
GM everyone. Good, good.
Awesome.
Great to be here.
So a few things before we start. So what are we gonna do today? Today we're gonna talk about Goat, the great on-chain agent toolkit. Um, this is an open source repo. We're gonna talk about what it is, how to use it, how to run it, the things that you can do with it, how to use it in frameworks like Eliza, Vercel AI SDK, etc. This is part of our hackathon workshop series. We had yesterday one with Fabian covering Eliza, which was really great. And today we're going to talk about Goat. So, Agus, what is your relationship between you and Goat, and why are you here with us? Can you tell a little bit about your story behind you, Goat, etc.?
Yeah, definitely. So actually, I work full time as a product lead at Crossmint. For those who don't know, Crossmint, we're a company that basically creates dev tools for everything related to on-chain actions. We have a wallets product, Minting, and probably the most famous or the one that we're most famous for, which is the checkout experience for purchasing NFTs. My relation with Goat starts from just working in the space of agents with Crossmint. We've been looking into it for a while. Actually, the team has been looking into it for more than a year, and that's how the whole idea of server-side wallets started for them. And while we were building a lot of this tooling for agents and experimenting with it, we saw that it was pretty much like it's a bit complicated to have an agent be able to do things on chain. So we see a lot of these agents that have a token attached to it, but when it comes to taking actions such as swapping tokens or staking or whatever you name it, mintings and so it's a bit more complicated to implement. And the reason for that is because you need to handle how you're building the transaction with the protocol that you're talking with. There's all these different wallets that you can use. There's all these different configurations that you can have, and then all the different chains that you want to interact with. Um, and through that insight, we kind of like started looking into creating a tool or a library that would aggregate a lot of these tools to make it just one line to be able to add this capabilities to your agent. And that's where like the name comes, right? Like we didn't want to be greatest on-chain agent toolkit because it was a bit pretentious, but great sounded like good enough.
I mean,
um
for what I've seen around, we could call it the greatest, mainly because everything's super early, right? So for the audience as well, I just found out about Goat by talking with Alfonso, the founder of Crossmint, and I loved his idea and the focus that they've been having. So you said like kind of a year you've been looking into agents. Agents are quite new, right? I want everyone just to take a pause now and just ease the anxiety on like, oh, I'm losing on this whole thing. Like, what are agents? Why are agents so hot right now? Everyone's talking about this, and it's made like everything's very new. We even don't have things like words to define some things, right? We just put names that we think are good for them. So when I found out about Crossmin and what you guys were doing with Goat, even open sourcing the whole thing, it made a ton of sense because the thing that I loved the most was Alfonso telling me that you guys are optimizing for agent experience, not developer experience. And I think that just hits really hard because we're building tools so that it's easy to integrate with agents, right? And I think that's what represents Goat. And what I love is this whole on-chain world. It's crazy. We are in it like full time, 24/7, researching chains, frameworks, etc. And it's hard for us to include all of these functionalities into a framework, into an app, into a bot, into whatever. So imagine having to do an AI agent with all its complexities, with all these new things, and even have to add all the on-chain functionality that you wanted to do, it's a heavy lift for a developer, right? So that's where I see Code enabling all of these things to do on-chain stuff and on-chain tooling is like, hey, Code is like the middleman that's gonna bring all of these cool features, cool on-chain features to your agent. You know? So yeah, I love that backstory and that definition. How are you in product if you are really good at coding and building code? Um,
Um, yeah, I'm definitely not the best coder inside Crossmin. There we have really good people in there, but we're a startup and we're all like building stuff all the time. So that's one of the main reasons. Like I say I work in product because that's my background, but we definitely there's a lot of product people who are coding within Crossmint because we're building developer tools. We're developers ourselves, and we need to understand all the pain points that go through building a lot of these things. So I think it's expected that all product people at Crossmint can code and do code. Um, yeah. So what do we want to follow up with regarding code?
well, yeah. I would like not wait. Do you? No, yeah, we don't need to show the documentation. I think now it's fine. I think we it's kind of clear what Go like can do. Have one last question about it, and that is because the public must see like a lot of like cross section with Eliza and Goat, right? So is Goat only a plugin on Eliza, or like how does Goat connect to all of these agent frameworks, right? Like how is Goat enabling all? Why do we say that Goat brings on-chain activity like actions and tooling to every AI agent framework? Like why?
Mhm. Yeah, so that goes back to how we kind of like decided that we needed to start Code. And it's that we saw ourselves experimenting with a bunch of different agent frameworks all the time. And every time you go to a different agent framework, or just like a library that speaks to one of the OpenAI APIs, could be LangChain, Vercel AI SDK. Eliza is a way more complex framework for creating agents. They all have their own way of just doing what we call tool calling, and maybe that's a concept that we should explain before that. Like um, the reason Code works is it's pretty much because LLMs allow this thing that is called tool calling, which is when it's basically sending a prompt to the LLM saying, I have this function or this set of functions with this set of parameters that they do this stuff. Based on this prompt, tell me which series of calls I should make. And that became a big thing because it allowed LLMs to not just respond with text, but respond with instructions that you could execute and would allow you to do pretty much anything. And those instructions, in the case of Goat, are just functions that allow you to do all these on-chain things that we spoke about: swapping, staking, transferring tokens, etc. Um, so each of these frameworks have a different way of doing tool calling and a different way of integrating with it. So every time we would be experimenting with a new framework, we would need to translate all the functions that we were doing and putting it for the specific framework. And we're like, okay, that makes absolutely no sense. It's the same with wallets. Like we would experiment with Crossmin wallets, with Crossmin smart wallets. We would experiment with a bunch of different things. And it's like, okay, we need to do something that is just easier to kind of plug and play, implement once, and it works on every single framework. And that's the idea with code, right? Like you implement what we have, the concept of plugins, which in the end is just a set of tools that anybody can code and anybody can put into code, and it will work for any of the wallets that is integrated with it, as long as they implement that, like the wallet.
I've tried it. I've tried it. I'm not the best coder, not even close. I'm using a lot of AI to help me, and I got it working pretty fast. And it feels a bit like magic. I tried the CoinGecko plugin, and it's so fun because you can just talk to your agent and ask it like token prices, volume, etc. It's like it's really fun. And the way you described it is awesome. This whole thing of like LLMs having function calling, it's what enables this agentic design. I still don't know how to call it. But yeah, this kind of feeling of like interacting with an agent, right? And it executing, getting complex context and executing complex actions.
Mhm.
Awesome. Enough talking. I think devs are eager to see some code, to see some examples, to see what we're talking about. Thank you for the context. I think really explains what code is and the reasoning behind it. And once you try it out, I like invite everyone to just at least give a try to the examples. You'll understand how powerful it is, what it's built for, and that it was built by devs for devs and for agents. So yeah, feel free to share your screen, Agus, whenever you can, and we'll get started with the first example. Um,
Sure. Maybe we can. We spoke a lot about code, but maybe we can just share like share quick snippet of what that means. I think the one
yeah.
from the docs is pretty self-explanatory, and we'll run an example out of it. You can find Goat in the Goat repo and the Goat SDK organization on GitHub. It's a mono repo. It has like we're building the TypeScript client, sorry, the Python client. So that's why you see TypeScript here, because there's going to be a Python client also coming soon in the following weeks. And yeah, maybe just to show you how it looks in code, when we say getting the on-chain tools directly into your LLM, is pretty much calling a function where you're passing in a wallet, and this can be a BM wallet, this can be a smart wallet from Crossman, it can be pretty much any wallet. We support late protocol also, and anything out there. And you send that this list of plugins, which are just on-chain sets of tools that allow you to do different things, like send ETH in this case, interact with Polymarket to create orders, a faucet if you're on testnet and you need to get test USDC, for instance, or if you just want to transfer Pipe, then you can use the ERC20 plugin. And what this function does, this is the simplicity. If you're just using Goat, it's pretty much just selecting the tools, selecting the wallet you want to use, and selecting the different tools that you want to do on chain and you want your agent to be able to do on chain. And then here's how you would use it in the example of Vercel AI SDK that has a function generate text. It has a bunch of other functions, but it works pretty similar in other frameworks where they have a tools input, and then Goat will already translate all these different plugins into the format that the specific AI framework would need. And from there,
So
you
I
can
have
do
a
prompts that
I
just.
have a little question about Vercel AI SDK. So you're just using that function, telling it the model. So basically just being OpenAI.
Mhm.
This is a prompt. And will that function take care of executing whatever it needs to execute as well? And I'm getting an answer as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. So in this case, you're calling generate text, and then it will send this prompt to, in this case, OpenAI. OpenAI will respond, like it will also send the tools with the descriptions and the different prompts for each of the functions for the LLM to know what it can do. And then based on the prompt, the LLM will figure out, okay, you need to call these different functions. And we'll see an example now. I think it will be more clear with an example. And it will, and the framework will just call those functions, send the result back to the LLM, and the LLM will say like, okay, now call this other function or just return the result. So you can get these calls even chain between them. So just to showcase that this is pretty much what you need to get on-chain capabilities into your prompts and into your agents. It's just one function installing the plugins you need for the actions you need, and then just generating or sending it to the prompt that you're using. The repo itself, again, it's on the TypeScript side, which is the one that we have implemented. You have the packages and the examples. Examples are pretty cool because you can see all the different frameworks and how we're using them. You've probably seen some, or if not, I encourage you to see some of Joyce's tutorials on how to use some of this, because they're pretty cool and they showcase the capabilities pretty quickly. And so those are the examples. We'll go through some of them, and then you have the packages one, where you can see the different pieces of the Goat system. You have the adapters, which would be every single library that would just get these tools and translate it into the specific AI framework that you're using. Right now, it's Vercel AI, Langchain, Eliza, 11 Labs, but we're adding a bunch more in the next days. Then you have the core, which is just how it, like the function that I show you on get tools, and how that ingests the plugins and injects a wallet for the plugin to be able to use it, etc., etc. you have the plugin itself and then the wallets. So wallets would be all the implementations for the different chains also that we support, and more that are coming. And then on plugins, you would see just a few examples of uh, some um, some functionality that you can do on chain. So maybe we can look at an example of like um, CoinGecko that you were mentioning. This is actually not an
Yeah.
on-chain capability itself because it doesn't create any transaction.
Yeah.
But you can see that plugins usually have a plugin.ts file and a .service file, and then the
Mhm.
parameters. And the plugin is
Oh, I
just
was.
defining.
Can
Sorry.
you close the left panel of the? No, no, no worries. Just
Okay.
the left panel of Arc maybe to give more screen. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I do have a small little question. It's
Mhm,
it's really easy to like go through the Go repo. This is great. So
mhm.
just go into the packages maybe.
Yeah.
So just to understand, if I wanted to add more like on-chain functionalities to code, I should add a plugin, right? Like the plugin is the what tells code or like the agents what on-chain actions look like and how to perform them, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Mhm,
Great. And if I wanted to add a new, so let's say, hey, I know this amazing open source AI agent framework, then they would need to add an adapter, right? That would show
mhm.
code exactly how to interact with that new framework, whatever that looks like.
Exactly, exactly.
Great.
And just to say that these adapters and plugins and wallets, they don't need to live necessarily on the Goat repo. Like you can implement it on your own project. You don't need to create a PR for it. Um, but if you want other people to use it, then it's easier if you publish it on the Goat repo because you'll get distribution in that sense, and people will know that it's there. But you can have it on your own project. You can even not publish it at all. You can publish it from your own like GitHub
Yeah.
organization. All of those things work.
That is good to know. But again, we're here for the open source, and trust me, you really want to have it public. Especially, I'm directing to the wallets providers. If you're looking into this, I would recommend you add your wallet because Goat is wallet agnostic. So allowing that will allow all your community and even people that you haven't reached yet that are using Goat to use your tooling, right? Same for the
Mhm,
plugins, right? So if you have an on-chain protocol, a DEX or whatever it is, and you want to get into this whole agent craziness and you want to be part of it and you don't want to miss it, it's as easy as creating a plugin on Goat, telling it how to interact with your protocol, which you probably already have scripts that do that. So it's just adjusting a few little things, and then that's it. Boom, agents can now interact with your protocol. So yeah, this is the how huge code is. It's beautiful on in its simplicity, but yeah, it's just like that, right?
mhm. Yeah, exactly how you put it, and it's pretty simple to integrate like both a wallet and a plugin. We can see example of a plugin as simple as CoinGecko, where you have like just a class that defines a plugin and just extends plugin base. You set the name, you have a function that return like just gives what chains it supports based on an input chain that you would get here. In this case, CoinGecko, it doesn't like supports any chain so it just returns true. And then you have a set of services that are a file like this, where you define each of the tools with this tool decorator. And each of the tools is able to get parameters input, which is the parameters that the LLM will be injecting into the function, but also they will get injected the wallet provider. And I'm going to show you an example maybe for that one, like the ERC20, where you would get a wallet client also injected there, and this wallet client might be network dependent or not, depending on the action that you're taking. And you can use that to just read on chain or send transactions on chain, uh, pretty much anything in a pretty simple way. And these are the tools that in the end the LLM will be calling. Um, any questions
That's
there, Fede,
That's
or things?
no, no. This is super clear. I'm adding stuff because it's just
Mhm,
this is gold. I do have a little question, maybe too specific, but yeah, I see the description in there. Is that
mhm.
do I need to worry a lot about the description that I'm putting there? Is like prompt engineering that could mess up my plugin? Do I need to be very specific to what it does? And And do I need
Mhm.
to make it long enough, or like any, yeah, any tips in
Yeah,
there?
yeah, that's a good question. Um, this is something we're learning. The more plugins we're creating and the more use cases we're creating, you need to be specific about the what the function does. We recommend doing like imperative descriptions. So in this case, get the ERC20 token info byte symbol, including the contract address, decimals, and name. So you need to give it everything that the LLM will need to be able to make a choice of how to use it and when to use it. A common example is, for instance, when you're, let's say, transferring a token, and you might want to, for instance, you send you send an amount, or when you're swapping a token, right? Like you always need to specify the amount, and that amount is usually on like on base units. It's not, if you're say, I want to send one USDC, it's usually you're not sending to the contract one USDC, but you're sending like the decimals of the one
Yep.
USDC.
Hmm.
And we actually have functions that or tools that already convert to the base unit and convert from the base unit, but you need to make sure that the parameters have that description so that the LLM knows when to do those transformations by itself. And we'll see an example now when we try to swap a token. But for instance, you can see here that on the description of the convert to base unit parameters, it like tells you exactly like what's the amount or how the amount is, if it's on base units or not. And usually everything is on base units when you're talking to contracts. So that's an
Awesome.
important caveat, actually, like the how you describe the parameters and how you describe the. So if for instance here you said, mm, token address, right? If you said just token, I think the LLM would still figure it out, but saying token address is more explicit and tells
Yeah,
you
the
that you
one
don't get the
thing
symbol as an input.
Yeah, one thing, and we're gonna move on from plugins. I made this question because I got intrigued. If the community wants, we can soon do a plugin workshop so people start submitting. But we're gonna
Mhm.
focus on like the easiness of how to use Goat. This is just extra knowledge for you guys. One thing I loved, I don't even know where I read it. I think it's in the documentation or you told me this, but
Mhm.
uh, having small defined actions for the agents, such as, transfer ERC, a specific swap, whatever, like very small and specific actions, helps a lot with hallucination. So if you leave the agent with very broad tasks, or they need to specify a ton of different things, it's going to hallucinate a lot more. But if you have very like smaller, actions, and like more specific actions that it can perform tied to a certain type of prompt, then it will hallucinate a lot less, right? So this type of tooling and this type of plugins help a lot to build like real use case agents that would be used in DeFi, for example, and need to be much more precise, right? I don't know where
Mhm.
I read that. I think you told me that I read it in the documentation somewhere.
Yeah, it could be, it could be. I think I remember speaking about it with you. And yeah, that's totally correct. Especially when you're sending a lot of parameters to a function, you need to be aware of what the parameters are and how the LLM will figure out those parameters. So if there's, for instance, what we mentioned with the base units, if you need some function that transforms that into another input, like from the LLM input into something that the next function would use, and so but yeah, the smaller they are, the more composable that becomes, and then you kind of like give the job to the LLM to figure out how do I chain these different functions, and they actually do a pretty decent job at it. Um,
Wow,
so I definitely recommend that approach. We've done experiments with both, and it's just more maintainable, and the LLM seems to be good at it, to do it in the way that it's just like smaller tools that you can chain.
love it. And as you said, like we're learning here, right? So if anyone has any strong point on anything about the decision of code or whatever, just jump into the Discord and come chat. You're still early. I know a bunch of people like the early contributor roles and whatever. To get that, you need to be an early contributor. So just jump in the Discord, help build a plugin, come talk to us. And yeah, just come and give value in whatever form you can, to grow this amazing repo.
100%. And
Awesome.
we've gotten like
Yeah.
great feedback from a lot of contributors that have just hit errors that we didn't even think about, and we've been able to like go through the process of understanding what they were trying to do with their agent and creating tools that were just way more efficient than what we were offering before. So it's definitely super useful when people just come try it out and give us feedback, and we're like pretty serious about it. So if you DM us on Twitter or Discord or whatever, we try to get back to everyone and listen to those requests.
Yeah, I usually push for people using groups so that all of because I'm learning I'm learning a lot with you, with Goat, with all the community, with Eliza as well, and the OLAS team. Everyone's learning here, at least at some degree. So just come to the Discord, open a public chat, and let's just share what we think is better, best. So code, let's go. I want to see examples. I want to see how this works. I want to
Yeah,
see
definitely.
how easy it is. Let's go.
Let's do that. Okay, so here I have the I use the light mode on Corsair. Some people hate that, but I like to work outside sometimes, and it's just better with the sun. Um, Here's the code repo already cloned. When you open it from the workspace, you'll see all the different adapters, different plugins already set up as directories that you like quick access to those directories. The one that we're gonna look into right now is the examples one, where you have all the different frameworks and specifically the Vercel AI, because I think it's pretty just simple to get started and use it. Langchain is also, but yeah, we just have more examples for Vercel AI. And for this, maybe for this call, I think mode makes the most sense to play around with. So we'll just use the mode example to showcase Go. Um, Okay, so what this example does is pretty simple. It just creates a wallet for mode specifically. So you see, this is nothing Goat specific. This is actually VM connecting to a key pair wallet that you're getting from like your private key on the environment variables, and
Note.
just connecting to the mode chain. Yep. Sorry.
Sorry to bother you. Is there a way, can you try and make it a little bit bigger? I can read, it's fine
Hmm.
if you cannot. If you do Command plus, I think it's, yeah.
They have a Japanese keyboard, and that works a bit different.
Oh my God, then don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. I don't want to,
I
it's fine. I can read it. It's readable. It's just that,
like
yeah.
here on the window.
I can try and find it for you as well, because it's maybe text. I think, let me see. Cursor.
Mm,
You could ask the chat as well. How to make text bigger? No?
Again, or
Let's
maybe.
Yeah, it says,
Um,
oh, yeah. If you do Command L, you can ask the chat, but yeah. If not, just it's fine.
which framework?
You
Uh,
have a Japanese, yeah, it's Control plus or like Command plus or something like that. It should work. Or Control plus. Thank you, DG Preston. We have people watching. See, this is community. Keep the help coming. I love it.
okay, not working.
It's fine. I
Um,
was don't worry, don't worry. I can read it perfectly. It was just a small detail. So sorry to interrupt, and let's keep going. Don't worry.
oh,
It's
sorry. I'll
perfect.
fix it for the next one. Sorry for
Yep.
that.
No, no, please keep it going.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much the code you have to connect to a wallet on VM. So if you were connecting to a different kind of wallet, like for instance Crossmint smart wallets, which by the way, like for agents, allow you to do a bunch of stuff that is pretty important, such as setting limits and being able to set permissions for different agents to use the same wallet. You would have all this configuration before that, and in the end you would call the wallet object that does come from Goat, which is this one, for the specific wallet provider that you would be using, and then you would pass the whatever input that function requires. So here's where we're setting the get on chain tools function, and we're setting up the wallet, and again saying which plugins we want to use. For this example, we have like send ETH, we have the ERC20, which allows you to approve a token, send a token, get the balance of a specific ERC20 token. We're saying that we're going to work with USDC and mode in this one. We're working on a way of making this dynamic, so you don't need to specifically set which tokens you want to work with, but it actually gets that from a list that you can select. And then you have the Kim protocol, which is the one that we're going to test out now, which came from a PR from the hackathon. So we'll see. Like we got it working this morning, and we'll try to do a swap with it.
We have the dev saying hi.
What's up?
In here. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for the PR. Um, yeah, we're seeing a lot of really good PRs there. So kudos to the community there, because it's really good work. Um, okay, so this is just to create a chat interface that where we get a enter your prompt, and then we write something on our console, and then it kind of iterates over this infinite loop where it will ask for the prompt and say whatever we want to say, check it if we want to exit the program, but then just uh, actually this should be a do while, but then just call the generate text function that we mentioned on Vercel AI SDK with the prompt that we just input, and then it's sending it the tools. The other important thing is this variable called max steps, and this basically tells the LLM how many times can it chain functions. Because sometimes you will say like 5, and then 5 won't be enough to be able to do the action that you want to take, because it needs to do a bunch of different things. So it's important to make sure that you're not running out of steps when calling your prompt. This other function is just on every step finish, or every time it calls a function, it will just give you an event, and then you can print that. So we will just print the tool results, which show you which function has been called, and then what was the input and output of that function call. And then we're just going to print the result itself. And if there's an error, we'll just print the error. So this is the basic example. We have the on-chain tools, the configuration for the on-chain tools, the LLM call, and just a loop that allows us to call the LLM over and over. If I go to the console, I already have here. Can you actually see? This is even smaller, but I'm not sure if you can see my terminal.
Yes, I think I can. I'm just
Okay.
trying to vouch for the people that don't have great eyes. My eyesight is great. Wait, can you try maybe if you do Command Plus, that should make it bigger. No?
Yeah, here we can do it.
There we
Okay,
go.
here we go.
Nice.
Nice.
Epic.
Okay, so running examples is as simple as just running the index.ts file. In this case, we can run it, and then yeah, there you go. We get the enter your prompt, exit to quit. So here we can say as simple things as like, what is my wallet address? And Goat already has, you can see here that here's the tool that is being called, and the result that is returning, and then the prompt that is returning out of it. So your wallet address is this. And Goat already comes with some core functionality, including get address, get chain, like what chain what chain I on. You can see like the get chain tool being called, and then it returns this one, which is the mode ID for this case. And we can do more interesting stuff. Like for instance, I can ask for my USDC balance. And again, it will call the get address to get my specific wallet, and then get token info by symbol. So USDC, give me like the information. So you can see here the tool calling like chaining, right? So the first call is to get the address, to know like what does my address, like my wallet mean. Get token info by symbol. Since I give it USDC, it needs to figure out what's the address, the contract address for USDC and the decimals. Then get token balance. It will get the token balance out of like the wallet and the token address, and then you see that the result is back in base units, and then it will convert the base unit into decimals. So the result is, oh, your balance is approximately 24 USDC. So it's as simple as that. You see that all these different calls are things that you would have need to implement if you didn't use code, and with code is just this specific line of code, like nothing else. And that now it's just like checking the balance for USDC, but we can do more complex stuff like with Kim now, swapping
I
tokens.
have a little question. I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop your flow right there because that was impressive. I love that. Just like a few lines of code and you get the functionality. How, if I wanna, instead of using like if I wanted to use a custom ERC20 token,
Mhm.
there is documentation on this. I did it, right? It's just adding where would you need to touch code? You don't have to do it, but where should I add it?
Yeah, we're trying to make this better, but right now the API, if you want to have a custom token to be able to transact with and do different actions, is you would need to implement this object within the ERC uh, within this plugin, the ERC20 plugin, and this object would have kind of like the change. I'll show you an example that is done already.
I have it
Um,
somewhere too. Okay, got it.
Here,
Yeah, because if
it
I
would look
deploy my own
basically,
token, I would
basically
like
this.
to. Oh, that's awesome. Great.
Yeah, exactly. So this is how it would look like. You would have need to add the decimals, the symbol, the name, and then the chains based on each chain, which is the contract address that that token has.
Epic, that solves. So I
And you
create
would,
my own token and deploy it. I can just take that type of object
yeah,
and just use put the chain, the contract address, and then my agent can recognize the token, send it, receive it, check the balance, etc.
yeah, exactly. It would be as
Epic.
simple as this. It's a bit cumbersome, to be honest. Like we want to make it dynamic, and we're working in ways of doing that. But right now, the patch is doing this.
That is pretty good, I was to be honest. And already a ton of tokens work, so yeah, that's more than fine. Yeah.
So yeah, now we can maybe try swapping a token, which I think it's a bit more interesting on how this happens. So we can say here like swap 0.0 or like 0.01 USDC to modes in a single hop using Kim. And then again, we'll go through the different tool calling process, right? Like we first get the address, we get the info for USDC, we get the info for mode, we convert the base unit for USDC, and then we get the router address to call mode, and then we do the actual swap of the exact input in a single hop. And the result is the transaction ID itself. So you see here that if we get this transaction ID, we copy it and we go into the mode explorer, we should be able to see the transaction, and you see it here that we got some like 2.7 modes and yeah, for 0.1 USDC. So that's pretty much a transaction. It was as simple as just prompting it like that.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
So yeah, this is an example for Vercel AI. You can obviously do this with other frameworks too. There's some limitations with Eliza that we're working on, and it's going to be solved pretty soon. But otherwise, like you can use this today. You can also use it with Eliza. It's just that you can maybe doing more complex things like this ones will take a bit of or some changes that you need to do. But we'll make it easier over time.
So that
Over time
is
means over the next few days,
dude,
by the way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, over time is the time frames for everything here is like weeks tops. You've been working nonstop as I've seen you all around and building a ton of stuff, and a ton of hackathons as well. Um, what you just showed, like it's hard for me as something to explain how complex and simple this is because you just did a lot with very few lines of code, right? Like it's even, I think I would say it's even harder to just build a chat that keeps asking you for a prompt and giving you the answer than adding the code to make a swap with Go. Literally, I think the chat may be harder to code, um, which is
Well, this
pretty funny,
was
right?
generated by Cursor, so it was as simple, I guess.
Oh, I did this. I did the same thing, and to me, it did a recursive function. So I think mine is fancier than yours.
Oh,
But well, yeah. um, but yeah. So I do have a few questions now. So you mentioned that the community, for example, built the plugins, right? More than a question, it's something like an introduction to something that I'm gonna say is that we have bounties for plugins on Go. We want Go to be as interconnected to Mode as possible, and to do that, we need a bunch of plugins. So we're offering a bunch of bounties, not us, also the ecosystem teams, because they want to be seen by agents. They want to be used by agents. So that comes with a Goat plugin, right? So the Goat plugin is the door for agents to be using protocols. So just go check out the hackathon that we have now. There's bounties that have nothing to do with the hackathon and that will continue living forever. Um, So just go submit a PR. I was here, probably will review it. So a few things, just when you do that PR, make sure to test it. Make sure to also create an example in the repo so others can use it. Others can easily test it, and that it's easier for everyone. One thing that you should keep in mind when working open source to me is how does someone with zero context of what I'm doing comes here and learns about what I did, right? So code is a good way, but it's a horrible way to share it with everyone because not everyone's going to go into your plugin, read the code, and when things get more complex, it's impossible to follow. So adding documentation, adding one example on how to use it and how to change the variables or add other functionalities, that is a great way to just help around. And you have AI, so you don't have to be coding every test, everything, all the documentation. You can just use ChatGPT. That is fine. So yeah, just make sure to try and be as explanatory as possible with all the information that you're giving out, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
I would like to start a conversation now on because we you showed an example with the Vercel AI SDK, and I think we this is a great way to show you guys. If you want to get started with code, if you want to do a small, fast proof of concept, you can fork this mode example or all the other Vercel AI SDK examples, which are like the easiest and more direct to test, as I said. Because let's talk about now a little bit about Eliza and which I'm gonna hide your screen for 2 seconds now so we can have a little chat. I'm gonna give
Mhm.
5 minutes here. Um, so our little chat about Eliza and Vercel AI SDK and all these AI frameworks, right? Okay,
Mhm.
there's a bunch of them. Which one should I choose? What are the ones that I should use depending on the use case? What are the pros and cons of each of them? We're not gonna go over all of them, but like Eliza versus Vercel AI SDK, what is the difference? Why should I use Eliza or why should I use Vercel AI SDK for my use case?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're different levels maybe of tools. I'd say like AI SDK is a lower level, and actually Eliza underneath uses also AI SDK for a few of the prompts that like for calling LLMs because it's a great framework. So I'd say it depends on what you're trying to build, right? Like Eliza is an amazing framework for building very quickly building an agent that is able to connect to a bunch of different clients like Telegram and Twitter and so and so. They're getting better and better. Like there's so many contributors and great people working on it. The cool thing of it being open source, obviously, is that you can understand exactly how it works, and you can go through the code and see like how they do memory management and how do they do RAG and all these different things that you hear about on agents, but a lot of the kind of like closed source or launchpads that you launch an agent that is pretty cool, but you're not able to understand, right? Like how these things work underneath. So I think Eliza does a really good job at that. And if you're building an agent that definitely like has to connect with a different or like has to like post on Twitter or talk on Discord and stuff, and more things coming because I know that they're thinking about gaming and different use cases which are going to be amazing. Um, Eliza is the best framework to get started with, I think. Um, if your use case is way more simple and what you're thinking of doing is just kind of like a chat and just chatting with it and being able to take specific on-chain actions, then Vercel AI SDK is pretty good at it. It's just like these kinds of or set of functions that allow you to do pretty much that use case of a chat. And I think the cool thing is just that it has an interface that works with most of the models out there, and tool calling is pretty neat how it's got implemented. And as you saw in the examples, right? Like you can get it, you can play around with it pretty quickly in just a few lines of code. So
Yeah,
it's more low level. If you're building your own agent, like your own agent framework from scratch, and you're starting to do like how you handle memory, how you build your own prompts, we can see an example with Eliza to see like internally how it works and how you could even think about building it with Vercel AI. But if you're thinking about doing it, then yeah, Vercel AI. is a good
I
choice.
love that. Yeah. One thing, so just for everyone to know, I was has been my mentor with this whole AI agent thing, same as Fabian. So I was like, hey, dude, I want to run Goat on Eliza. What should I do to learn Goat? And he told me, go run the Vercel AI SDK example. I was like, Agus, I'm trying to do this, not that. He was like, just trust me, go do it. And once I did it, my problem with Eliza is that it's so easy to get started, and like as soon as you get started with it, you have Telegram, Discord, Twitter, like all these things. The memory part is crazy. Like I wouldn't be able to pull that off. RAG as well, which RAG is basically getting a prompt and like putting it several times until you get a better answer. So
Oh,
yeah, I was shoot RAG. Yeah, shoot.
no, RAG is more like, let's say like, there's some knowledge, like your agent needs to knows about something, right? And
Hmm.
there's all these documents or data in some form that you need your agent to give it. And what RAG means is it will give your prompt and then fetch the relevant information that it needs to put it into the context of the prompt. And then the agent, when you see the prompt that is being sent to the LLM, will be the context of those documents that have been
Huh.
retrieved based on the prompt that you send, and then your actual prompt. So then the agent has information on how to be able to respond. So if
Oh,
you're doing like one
right.
for mode documentation, you
I
would have
I
like
had a I had a really bad concept then. I thought that right like I missed the part of adding information, but yeah, I thought it was like okay, I prompt you something, the LLM like recognizes what information it needs to get, so it gets that info and then reprompts it all again.
yeah, that, or
Okay,
that's
that
exactly it.
is
Yeah. Mhm.
okay. I missed the adding information part, which is pretty important, but good point. Love it. Thank you for that. So, well, specifically, see, we're learning. Thank you. Awesome. Um, for example, Eliza versus AI SDK, my point is with Eliza, it's hard for me to learn how to tune the agent to do what I want, right? If I want to, I'm a programmer, right? I'm an engineer. I think step by step. I'm coding. I think like one step after the other and very predictable conditions. With Eliza, it's such an advanced framework with memory and all these things that it gets weird. It feels more like psychology and like prompt engineering rather than like step by step execution. So what it helped me a lot was using the Vercel AI SDK to be like, oh, so I can just prompt this, ask for this, it executes, and I get back an answer, and then I can keep going with my flow. So to me, if I wanted to make an AI agent tool, more like if I wanted to do a wallet in Telegram, for example, that helps me send tokens with just chatting, I would use Vercel AI SDK because Eliza would be a whole personality with all of these things with memory, etc. That maybe could be harder to fine tune to do exactly what you want, but it has memory, it has all of these great features that can get more context. So it's kind of your decision on how far you want to take your use case or how you want to do it. As you said, like for smaller little things, I think Vercel is great for like small little tests, and Eliza is great for like if you want to have a personality or a really complex memory thing. Eliza is great. But these are the things that like people need to consider to which framework to use, right? I love it. Thank you for your insights. That's great. Do you want to show people the Eliza example on how to use Goat and Eliza? Like how
Uh,
to, yeah,
yeah,
we
yeah,
can show
definitely.
the, yeah, yeah.
We can try it out. I have a fork on it, and it's probably not working right now. But maybe we can.
No
What we can
worries.
do is
We
like
can,
go through the examples of like showing the prompts, because I think that's pretty useful.
yeah,
Maybe not specific to Goat, but definitely specific for developing with Eliza,
yeah,
or like
let's do it.
relevant for it. Should I share my screen?
Yeah, you are already. Just go to the cursor or whatever you want, and yeah, there we go.
So I can open the fork that I was. So I created an Eliza fork that would connect to directly to, like, we would use the Goat plugin to do on-chain transactions with on mode. But maybe an overview. You already did the class on Eliza a few days ago, so I'm going to assume that you're aware a bit of like how the repo is distributed. But where you have the packages, you have the different adapters, clients, like all the different clients it supports, the core, and all the plugins. What I did on this fork is just remove all plugins that I was not using and just leave code here. Inside the code plugin, you see that it's pretty much the code we saw, where in instead of get on chain tools, it's get on chain actions, because Eliza talks about actions, not tools, and just like the different plugins that I'm setting in. And the wallet configuration is here, which is again an EVM wallet with the chain being set to mode. So when you're working with Eliza, as you mentioned, I think that the pretty interesting thing is the character influences a lot what actions you wanted it to make. When I first got started with Eliza, I think the recommendation on the documentation first was using the Trump character, and the Trump character is like super complex. It has a lot of prompts and it has a lot of text within it, and a lot of the text is actually just prompting the LLM to not follow the thread that the person who's talking to it is trying to follow. So if I tell Trump to like send me some USDC to my address, it would be like, this is not an important topic. We should be talking about A, B, and C. So because the prompt itself is telling it, right? Like inside the character, here's a very simple mode hacker character that I created. This would be like 10 times larger than what I have here, and a lot of the prompts would be around not following or like changing topics and being very specific about it. And we'll see why this is important. Actually, I'm just gonna run this example. So we'll go here and we'll go to where is it? Have it on modelize example, and we can run it. So now before you could run it directly on the terminal, but now you have to run it on the terminal, and then okay, wait, yes.
Yeah, there you go. You need to change the nice.
Okay, so I guess one thing to know when Goat is installed is that you'll see the actions being registered. So you'll see get address, get chain, get balance, send ETH, etc. Generate image is not Goat, it's like other plugins from Eliza, but these ones in concrete are the ones that we're setting up with the Goat plugin. And you can set more, obviously, like if you have Polymarket or Kim, you would get the actions here too. So before you were able to like chat here on the terminal, but now they change it. So you need to run. So if we split right, you need to run the client, which is a bit nicer, I guess. What was it? Client start. Client. No, start client.
I didn't know this. That's good.
I just learned about this today, but now it's running here on localhost. And if I go back to this one, you'll see I have the conversation here and it hasn't started. So I can say like, hi, and it will respond already with, or at some point with, hey again, exploring DeFi universe. And these are, again, based on the prompts that I'm sending it. So what we were talking about, Fede, is like, how do we know that if I tell it to take an action, it takes an action? And I think a very useful thing to do in that case, and we'll see if they made any changes, but what I usually do is I go into the packages directory and I go inside the client direct, which is the one that we're using here. And inside the index file, you can find the endpoint that is actually calling the messages, which is this one. And here is the function where you can see everything that's going on a step every time from the moment that I send a message like hi, and how that goes through the whole agent, doing things like seeing who, which person are you talking to in which room, etc., etc. Saving the memory of that. So it has this concept of memory where it stores like all the conversations that is having with different people, composing the context for that specific agent, which means getting all the information from the character and putting it within the prompt, which you can see the template, I think, or before it used to be around here. So, and we'll see the concrete example of this, but this is the context that it's building. So giving you some action examples, the knowledge that the agent has based on that prompt, the task that it has, the biography, the lore, and those are all things that you can find within the character file, right? Like, yeah, so you have the knowledge, you have the lore, the bio, etc. And one thing I use, and I think it's pretty useful to debug why it took an action or another, is actually just to print that on every run. Um, so when the state is composed and you have the context, before generating the message, I would just do something as simple as just printing the context. And now I need to build this. So I'll just go and split down. I'll go into the packages, into the client one, and direct client. Where is it? Client direct. And then run pm build, because I made a change. And then I can run this again, basically. I don't need to do this actually, but I'll just do it. And now if we go back to the chat and I say something like, hello, here on the console, you see that it printed all this stuff, right? And I'm just going to copy it and put it into ChatGPT. But this is the actual prompt that is being sent to the LLM. And you'll see the question that it's getting and why it's responding. So we'll copy this. Actually, we're missing that, but that's fine. And I can go into something like ChatGPT and just copy it. And with GPT-4, in this case, for instance, and you'll see that it'll respond exactly like, okay, what's the response, right? Like here, like this is the text that you need to be responding with, and what's the next action that you need to take, like continue, ignore, or if we're saying something like send me ETH, it will actually tell you the action, which was the different registered actions that we're seeing here. But the cool thing about this is that you can actually experiment with the prompts and see what's being sent. One common error is that based on the messages, let's say you're developing a plugin, and you have you try a few prompts and they don't work, because they stored those messages on the memory. It's more biased to responding as if it didn't work, even though you change the code. So a trick here is just removing the memory, which you can do pretty quickly from the I think it's the agent directory and the data. Like if you're using SQLite as the adapter, you can just go here and remove the memory. And the next time that you call the agent, it just won't add obviously all this context that it had before. But yeah, just wanted to showcase that as like a way of debugging Eliza that shows you how you can go prompt per prompt and understanding why it's taking one action or not. So you see here, like you can see the available actions, and then the agent needs to choose when to call one of these actions, and it will respond with the JSON with that action.
Dude, that was so good. That was insane. That was so good. I'm gonna go try that like just now. I was smiling a lot because you told me you were a product guy, that you're not very good with code. We can really tell that you move fast and then you're used to running all of these things. So like, brother, like thank you very much. That was great. Especially because like the Eliza repo is big. It's not easy to find exactly where things are or the logic. So that was great. I'm gonna actually go test it out now. One last question that I have for you is, so there's the Goat plugin for Eliza, right?
Mhm.
Um, and you showed us that the Goat, like the Goat plugin, of course, sorry, Goat has plugins as well. Um, where do I need to change that? Like how, or does the Goat plugin in Eliza comes with all the plugins that it has, or do I need to choose which ones I want? Do I need to like
Mhm.
touch the Goat plugin in the repo in Eliza, or how does that work? How do I add like swapping to the Goat plugin, for example?
Yeah. So it's pretty much you go into the package of the plugin, and that's a package itself. So it has a package.json. You can go within
Yeah,
that package.json, install the plugin that you need, and then go into the file that we saw, the get on-chain actions,
yeah,
and you just add that function. It's as easy as
perfect.
that. I
Perfect.
think
So
that
you go to the folder there and change it directly. Perfect.
yeah, that's pretty much
Yeah.
it. The big caveat with Eliza is it's amazing for learning. You need to like just go through it. But for the plugin integration with code, one thing that we're missing is actually chaining this tool calling. So as I mentioned before, for more complex things like swapping and stuff, it's a fix that we're aiming to do, and it will
Hmm.
be great after that. But yeah, it will just struggle with it because it will do the action and then it won't. It would have a hard time chaining the next step for doing more complex things on chain.
Awesome. We got a few questions and we can end this, but this was so great. So, pretty fast. So, let me see here. AI live coding. I was thinking of building an agent which helps users vote on the governance proposals while also commenting and defending the proposals oh, which are, okay. So, no, this is more for me, I think, for the hackathon related. So both ideas are really good. I think an agent that helps users vote is great because everyone gets lazy, you forget, it's hard to track dates, so great. And also commenting and defending in the proposals, that for like optimism forum and stuff would be also great. I know quite a few governance folks that would really love to have it and would be happy to test it out. I think you're on the right track thinking about like the use cases for all of this. What else? Here we have, great. DG Preston saying Vercel AI equals Eliza minus personality. Yes, that's true. Yeah,
That's a good way to put
that's
it.
pretty good. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Here, Suporno is, wait, does the example folder have the whole Eliza repo? I think he's talking about
Yeah.
the in Goat, right? It does not, I think.
No, no, no. It's a link to the the actual repo actually.
Yeah, yeah. So if you want to do a plugin for Goat and show an example, I think the easiest and the best way is to use Vercel AI SDK and to leave the example in the repo so that others can just run it just one prompt with one action, and that's more clear and easy to use. I think that's easy to extrapolate to the Eliza repo afterwards. Another question: can I use Grok in
Yep.
Vercel AI example?
Yeah, definitely. And I think you should use it because it has a pretty good free tier, and it's pretty awesome. So
Yeah.
you can definitely use it.
That's great. Um, DG Preston, sorry, newbie asks where. I don't know what you're referring to, but I guess it's the examples folder that Suborno was talking about. That is in the Code repository. You have a few examples in there, so go check them out. Um, can you record this? Lucifer, we are already recording this, so you can see us in the future as well. Lastly, can we develop the character on Eliza and have it communicate with Vercel AI agent for the on-chain stuff? Frutero. So the what you can do with Goat is basically they have it has a plugin on Eliza, so that's it. You just need to, when you create your personality on Eliza, you just use the Goat plugin and you have all the on-chain stuff that we showed. Um, and that's it. Okay, I've already stolen too much of your valuable time. We need you pushing for gold. We need you all around. Oh, Frutero says you mentioned some issues with the multi-step process. Anything to add there, Agus?
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are things that we're aiming to fix. So yeah, I guess that's why you were referring on like Eliza
Yeah.
maybe speaking to Vercel AI. So if you do a fork of Eliza, you can maybe like inspect the code and see like how you can actually go through the code and see how AI SDK is being used within Eliza, and there you can see that you're able to pass the tools if you make some changes within core, but you need to make those changes. So you could potentially fix that by just going through the Gold plugin and looking into when that call is being made, and then just passing all the Gold tools on every action call that it's getting. That's the way that at least like you can patch it for now, but we should find a better solution.
Oh, nice, perfect hackathon project.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that'd be amazing if you can do a PR for that.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. Also, Just know that if you don't have any ideas for agents or you want some vision ideas to build or to test out, we have a list of ideas for agents as well that we would like to see built. So yeah, just check that out. Um, okay, we're on the hour. I keep getting questions. I would love to keep going, but I need to let you go. I was super busy, and I would love to just yeah keep seeing you evolve, go, and the whole AI agent ecosystem. I think this is going to be big. Um, Appreciate you. Thank you very much for all this knowledge or this all these insights, all these little tips that I think are going to help a lot of people, not only for Goat but also for Eliza and a bunch of other things. So yeah, thank you very much. Anything else you want to add here? Anything you want to tell the devs here for the future?
No, thank you for yeah the amazing work organizing the hackathon and getting so many people to create PRs and do really cool plugins for Goat. This is awesome, and we appreciate it a lot and appreciate the work that the community has been doing. And yeah, we love to keep shipping with the community and do more cool stuff with Eliza and all these different projects that are coming up.
Epic, awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. Again, pushing all of you to just go to the hackathon, register, build something, test out Go, test out Eliza, build something fun, something cool, submit it. You don't lose anything. It's free. You can, in a weekend, watch the workshop we did yesterday, this workshop, and then you're like top 1% AI, Web3 AI agent developers out there. Like, there's not a lot of folks that can be up to date with all of this. So, make sure to just a little last push in end of year, just one last weekend, maybe check out a few resources, watch the workshops, give it a try, and let us know. Join the Go Discord, and yeah, you know what to do from there. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one, and thank you for watching.
Thank you
Bye,
all.
everyone.